One major city had its biggest fall in the last 32 years. Today, we're going to look at exactly how we got here and more importantly, how you can take advantage of the falling prices. So stay tuned. And it wasn't too long ago that fear of missing out was a very real issue. This was an article published in 2021 talking about this very topic, and it resulted in buyers paying more for properties because they were very concerned about missing the mark and missing the boat. Essentially, it meant that people were buying properties sight unseen and putting their highest and best offer in. And for a lot of people, they were having to make 2, 3, 4, and even 5 offers before any were accepted. And a lot of this fear of missing out was spurred on from lockdowns. If you think about it for a moment, we weren't able to do much. And as a direct result, we had more money to spend. And we can see this graph here where you could see that consumption habits decreasing over that lockdown period. It meant that people had more access to funds, and couple this with cheap credit. With the cash rate at 0.1%, we were seeing fixed rates under 2%. And over the past 3 years, it meant that Sydney went up by 15.7% on average, Melbourne went up by 12.2% on average, and Brisbane went up by 13.1% on average from the March 2020 figures. And all this was over the long-term average. And this is very important because what tends to happen in the financial markets is that things tend to revert to the mean. And mean reversion is a financial term, and it's a theory used that which suggests that property prices will eventually return to their long-term running average. And you've probably seen this in the share market where prices go up and down, but here's a graphical representation of a mean reversion. Essentially, we can see that the mean is that black line, and the ups and downs of the market is where it's trying to get back to the mean, whether it's up or down, but it's always looking to revert back to the mean. And this is a very real thing, with Sydney house prices falling at their fastest pace in more than 32 years, showing that Sydney dwellings decreased a staggering 2.2% in the month of July, and that was the single biggest loss since January 1990. With Melbourne, we saw a 1.5% loss for the month of July, and it was only 0.1% off the all-time record in 1990, and Brisbane dropped 0.9%. The total loss in Sydney and Melbourne now exceed 5.3 and 3.4% respectively since their peak in early 2020. And looking at this, it's all just a cycle. We have to understand this. So if you are looking to buy a property, know that there's ups and downs and there's cycles. And when we're looking at property, we've just got to understand that property prices go up and down, and that it's not uncommon for property prices to be reverting back to the mean as a result of some phenomenal years of growth. If you are looking to buy an investment property or even a home, there's a few things to keep in mind. Firstly, try to avoid the herd mentality. So as Warren Buffett says, be greedy when others are fearful and be fearful when others are greedy. Now, this is a very hard thing to do, particularly when you've got all your friends and family saying, now's the time to get in the market, now's the time to buy. But oftentimes you'll find that you'll get a better deal when everyone else is going fearful. And you can probably see that in the market where everyone's saying it's not a good idea to be buying. And that's great because it means that there's less competition and there's more chances of you getting a bargain. Another rule when you're looking to buy a property is become a suburb expert. Invest in a suburb you know intimately. And the only way you can do this is if you reduce the amount of suburbs you're looking at. I've seen home buyers and investors alike trying to find too many properties in too many different suburbs. The ideal amount of suburbs that you should be looking at is no more than 3. You should know every street on every corner in the suburb. You should know the good side of the suburb, the bad side. You should know upcoming infrastructure projects that are happening in the suburb. Essentially, if there's anything happening in that suburb, you should know about it. And you can't do this if you've got a list of 10, 20 or 30 different suburbs you're interested in. So a big one is invest in the suburbs you know. And the final one is having realistic expectations. The trouble with property is it's a long-term game. So if you're looking to stay in it for a short period of time, then property property is probably not the best investment class for you is because those that make money are those that stay in property for the long term. And we've covered this in previous videos in the past where we went through the data, and it was those that held property for an extended period of time of more than 10 years that really were profitable and made money off the property market. Those that were selling in less than 5 years were never fully realized their gains, and in most cases were lucky if they broke even. Here at Hunter Galloway, we get home loans approved. So if you live in Australia and looking for a great mortgage broker, we can help. Visit us online at huntergalloway.com.au or call us on 1300 088 065. We help Australia-wide and there's no fee for our service. So hit us up. We'd love to help. And until next time, I'll see you then.